You remember that Ben Shapiro very famously said that there was no problem with rising sea levels, particularly for the homeowners who lived there, because they could just sell their homes to other
Yes.
people. To other
Sell
people.
their underwater home, and the market will be excellent.
But Emma, that's you're missing the point. You sell it before it gets underwater. You know it's going to be underwater, so you sell it before it gets underwater to some sucker who doesn't know that it's going to be underwater, and then the homeowners are fine.
Is that what
Except, of course, the people who are then the homeowners.
They're just trying to save a market for like just a dumb population of people who don't know climate change is coming, so they can sell their beachfront property.
But even if, like, what's amazing about that comment is he's only talking about how the people who own the property now or today, as opposed to tomorrow, are the homeowners, right? Yeah. Like it's if like, oh, I thought you meant Jim and Betty and Steve and Dan. They have houses on the coast, and once they sell, then we don't have to worry about people who have a house on the coast, because there'll be different people in there that we don't know. Like,
and they are not homeowners, they're the because no, it's like it's Ayn Randian. They're the sucker homeowners, exactly. and sucks for you.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
They made a bad investment, which is why they should get bailed out by the federal government.
If somebody knows that, if there's one person who knows that they should sell, then everybody should know that they shouldn't buy. But here's Ben Shapiro talking more about global warming on the Ben Shapiro Show.
Here is the thing, gang. Most global warming is already baked into the cake. The reality is that any measure that dramatically harms the global economy on behalf of lowering carbon emissions is a fool's errand. You are much better off taking some of that potential gain and using it on mitigation efforts and adaptation efforts rather than attempting to completely remake the world economy to stop carbon emissions altogether, considering a huge percentage of the world's population still lives in abject poverty burning dung for fuel. Carbon emissions are not the specific problem in the long run. The specific problem is how human beings deal with carbon emissions. The earth is not going to boil. Not all human life is going to die. All the catastrophic nonsense about how billions of people are going to be living in basically a Mad Max universe if global warming continues. It's silly. It's not true. Technology has improved. The United States, for example, our emissions have leveled off. China's are not going to level off. China's going to continue to emit at high rates. Developing countries are going to continue to emit at high rates. And by the way, if you wanted them to stop emitting at those high rates, you'd have to pay them trillions of dollars. They are openly saying this now. So your choice. Do you wish to sink the growth of the world economy, which, by the way, is what allows people to live longer? It allows people to be healthy. It allows people to care about the environment. Because I'll tell you what you don't care about when you are living in abject poverty, burning dung for fuel. Global warming. That's not something that's on the top 1 million of your issues. But for the very rich among us, these are the top issues. The top issues are great systems. How can we impact the great systems of climate by also taking control of the great systems of economics? A civilization whose primary worry is whether there is going to be global warming over the course of the next 100 years that causes some people to move from their homes and causes, if the estimates are correct and the economy continues to grow as it has done for the past century and a half, it will cause a few thousand deaths over the course of a century.
What?
This is according to the estimates from Bjorn Lumberg over at the Copenhagen Institute. And the notion that hundreds of thousands or millions of people are going to die from global warming is just based on the fact that human beings adapt to their environment and adapt to the climate. That's not true. The notion that you're going to sink the world economy on that basis, that is a rich people thing.
Wait. This guy, I mean, aside from the climate denialist that who's obviously off his climate denial now, but this is just what's awesome is that he starts off by conceding that climate change is real. It's just that it's not really real by the end, right? It's really not going to impact a couple of thousand people.
It's already
impacted
mitigate,
tens of thousands of people.
You have derangement syndrome. It's not even going to be that bad.
I mean, I don't know if I believe some estimates that we could lose 80% of the world's population within 100 years. I think that seems extreme to me. But we're going to lose a lot of places where food can grow. And we're going to have, we've already had trillions upon trillions of dollars of damages that at least we know, statistically speaking, some portion of that is attributable to climate change. We will, there is in fact in the Build Back Better bill, 1/5 of the money for climate change is to begin to do things like adapt and to deal with the harm as opposed to trying to slow the harm. But the idea that it's so backwards, the idea that if we were all just burning dung, we wouldn't be in this situation, frankly. The idea that we have to destroy the world economy is also untrue, A, but B, what does he think is going to happen to the world economy? Why does he think that the U.S. military is looking upon this as the number one national security threat? It is because it is going to destabilize our entire civilization in some fashion. It's not going to wipe everybody
they think that they're worried about the supply chains now. I mean, once there are mass catastrophic climate events, they'll find a new Buttigieg or a new Democrat to blame it on, but it's going to be the result of the climate emergency.
It really is stunning that to track the evolution of where they've been on climate change. And also, now it's all baked in. Where's this guy been?
Well, yeah, no, it came from climate denial to, it may be happening, but it's not being caused by human beings, to now it is maybe being caused by human beings, but it's not that big of a deal. And so like they never acknowledged the fact that they were wrong in increments in the 5 years before. And when he talked about people burning dung for fuel, I mean, obviously that reminded me of his racist comments about Palestinians that went viral that time. I mean, the way that Ben Shapiro views the non-wealthy world or the non-Western world is so inherently racist. And so he's basically saying people burning dung for fuel, they would not be the ones that would bear the brunt of climate change. They would actually be elevated if if capitalism and global economic growth, because it's growing now. I mean, I don't know how that dovetails with his Biden critique, but regardless, it would finally reach their shores and they would no longer be burning dung for fuel. Pretty sure, dude, that the reason that there is mass poverty in nations across the globe is because of capitalism, because capitalism as constructed was built on colonial exploitation, and that those groups in the world are not benefiting from global capitalism because of that very structure. In fact, they are going to be the ones, the hundreds of thousands that he discounts, that are dying. And then they'll be invisible to people like Ben Shapiro in the decades to come, because it doesn't matter to him. He's fine with sacrificing them for the global growth of the economy, but he can't say that.
And then did you catch this also weird part where he's saying that this is all like a rich people argument? Is he trying to like do some type of like right-wing populism now?
Yeah, it's trying to gilets jaunes, right-wing capture these gilets jaunes things.
He's trying to push this in. The people who are looking to destroy the economy are the people who are benefiting it from the most as it is developed now. I mean, I don't even understand like what he's trying to.
That's a Tucker Carlson thing. That's like a way to use leftist language with like actual right-wing ideology. Exactly. It's the same thing with that, Peter Thiel candidate that was elevated the other day, who was using
his clicks must be dropping because he feels like he's got to push that or something. Or maybe he's going to, what is it, that guy Masters? Is that
Grant
who it is?
Masters.
The COO of Thiel Holdings or whatever it is. Yeah.
He was doing the same thing. It's eco-fascism. That's the next manifestation of this.
I have a final point on this. What's interesting to me about this is Ben Shapiro is actually responding to policy right now. When he said that, first of all, we all know this whole China and developing countries are going to keep emitting. again, this is another ahistorical right-wing argument because we're not going to tot up all of the historical emissions by the West. It just starts now, and we all have to stop at the same time, right? But it gets to a larger point that I talked to with the La Ruta del Clima folks on Left Reckoning, which is like, Shapiro's now accepting two of the three parts of climate policy, which is adaptation and mitigation. And that's great. I'm glad, Ben, you have joined us on this stuff. It would be nice if we started adapting and mitigating maybe 15, 20 years ago, maybe even more than that. But there's a third part, loss. What do you do for countries that cannot actually mitigate or adapt to these problems that have been caused by these massive economic powers? And you have to pay them cash. You have to give them money. And that's what Ben Shapiro, when he says that, now they're starting to even ask about, they want trillions of dollars to do that. It's because they need it. It's because like the way that our system is set up, we're not going to be able to get off of this without it.
And it's in some respects, it's reparations.
Exactly.
I mean,